And welcome to the Introduction to Life Energy. This is an introduction in the course of life energy and its historical references and concepts, as well as uses and applications, and to the modern time period from 1975 until now, with the use of the self-awareness formulas and life energy publications. This webinar and seminar is presented by myself, Nick Sconia, and brought to you by Life Energy Publications and the Institute for Modern Holistic Alchemy. The Institute for Modern Holistic Alchemy is our training hub for Life Energy Publications in learning how to develop and read and interpret the SAF chain of numbers and how to increase your life energy. Life energy for us equals power. It equals talent. It equals manifestation. It equals health. So how do we bring about more life energy into our lives? That is what we teach. So you can find more information about the Institute for Modern Holistic Alchemy at lifeenergypublications.com. We have lots of information there. And our mission and goal is to advance and protect and to promote the writings of Kathy and Joseph R. Sconia Jr., both of who wrote extensively on life energy and who we owe a great deal of gratitude to bringing this information from the past to the present time. So welcome to the seminar, and we're really glad that you're here. This is going to be a fascinating journey through history and into the knowledge of life energy. We're going to embark on the journey through time, exploring the diverse perspectives and the discoveries that have shaped our understanding of this intricate force. Now, obviously, there's a lot to it. Now, this is an introduction course, so I don't want to get too far ahead of anything that we're going to be doing. But if you want further training, we have many books, and we also offer these courses through the Institute for Modern Holistic Alchemy, where you can learn and study and develop more of a knowledge of the self, of yourself. Now, when we go through this, there's no need to take notes or anything like that. You can always review this again. We're going to have this posted on our YouTube channel, which is SAF Training, or youtube.com/@SAF Training, as well as on our podcast, The Holistic Monitor, @Holistic Monitor. You can always find all this information in our seminars section on the website as well. And we hope you check it out. What we will be doing is going over some of the various principles and giving you an introduction to life energy publications as a whole, as well as a little bit of historical approach as well. So again, thank you for joining us. We're really happy to have you here, and we look forward to speaking to you in the future in how we can develop this seminar, this webinar, even more so, and bring it out to greater and greater amounts of people. In our understanding, the more knowledge of the self, the better. Now, a little bit about myself. My name is Nick Sconia. I am the son of Kathy and Joseph R. Sconia Jr., one of their kids, and I have been entrusted with the carrying on of the business of Life Energy Publications. I've delved into the SAF system in 2004 was when I got initially trained, and into 2005 for level 1, and subsequently level 2 thereafter. I began to shadow my mom in 2014 as far as the business goes. I learned Reiki in 1998 and was on a pursuit right out of high school to learn more about myself. My goal was to figure out what I was or who I was or what this whole thing was, and to gain a greater understanding. So I delved through many different systems and programs, etc. One of those was Reiki, which is a form of energy work or energy healing. It's tied directly into life energy in a very subtle way, versus what most of us are used to. Now, my want and desire for all of these videos and presentations is for my son. He's 2 years old. As I was able to hear and find out and learn about my dad's personality, I want him to as well be able to look back on who his dad was and to learn his personality and gain an understanding about my brain and how I think and work, right? So you'll find a lot of what I do in my podcast, and in these presentations I have geared to instill knowledge to future generations, my son included, if he so is inclined. But I'm always looking to the future. Where are we going? And how can we produce and promote and advance these studies for the future generations? Now, my dad was born and raised in Philadelphia. He was known to be a really, really good basketball player with a really great shot, a really great long shot, or whatever it's called, jump shot. And he was known in the Philadelphia area, in the high schools. And I believe he got a scholarship to go to the University of Delaware, where he did physiology and chemistry and physics. He was interested in health, but was really interested in becoming a doctor and wanted to go and pursue that because that was, for him, as far as he was concerned, the highest and greatest career path was to be a doctor. Well, he got sick in college and he went to a doctor. The doctor didn't understand what was wrong, couldn't help him, couldn't answer his questions, which just drove him crazy. And so he diverted from the path of becoming a doctor and began to do his own studies into, you guessed it, life energy. Now this was in his college years, he diverted from that and began his path of study. He took many courses and classes, and he was a prolific newspaper salesman with the Philadelphia Inquirer, and he took that knowledge of sales, which you'll hear a lot of the seminars are sales seminars, where he's selling the programs or helping other salespeople sell the system. And that is mostly what we have as sales seminars. So they're real salesy, but that was the whole point, was he was training people how to sell a holistic system in the 1980s and a computer system in the 1980s. Now, my mom was born in Atlanta and traveled a lot, very interested in history. And she met my dad in California. They subsequently moved to Pennsylvania, where they raised their kids. And she got involved in history after my dad's passing in 1989. SAF for about 10 years took a back seat for her because it's a very large system, and she just wasn't sure how she could apply it forward. She maintained it, but it took a back seat. And she wrote 6 books on history in the western Berks County area, which is where we lived. Now, her work, her editing, her formatting, she did the Monitor, the original Monitor, which was our newsletter for the Life Energy Research Foundation, and Life Force. She did a lot of the editing in the books in the 1980s. Fast forward 1999, 2000, she began to put out the work again, recompiled, re-edited, some of it reformatted, and some of it rewritten in a way that was more approachable, less clinical and less scientific, as my dad would write. She put out 14 books while she was active, the last one being in 2019, SAF Simplified, the second edition, which is very much her writing rather than adapted from my dad's writing. So it's a really good read. Highly recommend it. The 2003 edition is really good too, but you can see it's layered full of the way that my dad spoke and wrote, whereas the 2019 version is much more updated. So the seminar goals that we have here, that we're looking to do here, is to bring you into the history of life energy as a whole through time, give you a little bit of information on the founders of Life Energy Publications, Life Energy Research in the 1975 and onwards with SAF. And of course, to open the world of SAF, the world of the self-awareness formulas to you in such a way that you find it more approachable. There's a lot of mystery because the methods are subjective and objective through infrared, and then that is cross-correlated into numbers, and then those numbers with their meanings are read or interpreted by the practitioner. So it can become a little convoluted, and it gets a little confusing to people. They would ask, why the numbers? Why not just call it this one thing? And if you call it the one thing, you lose the meaning of all the other things that it can correspond to. So a number can signify many things, but the heart is, for you, is going to signify one thing, and it's going to be hard for you to approach an organ or a gland in a dynamic way through different scales, through different tracks. and perceptions. So the number, we can do that. We can do it in one fell swoop. You learn level 1, you understand the numbers from the mental emotional sphere. You learn level 2, you get the physical, etc., etc. So there's an ability to use the numbers and gain an understanding through a whole scale. So now we're going to do our seminar on life energy, the history, applications, and use. A brief history of life energy through the ages. In ancient times, in the ancient world, various cultures pondered the essence of life energy. From the breath of life in ancient Egypt to the vital force or ki or chi in Chinese philosophy, these early beliefs laid the groundwork for our exploration into what life energy is. The Egyptians used the Ankh to show the vital force, the life force, or life everlasting. And in the Asian modalities, the Qi, the life force or the life energy, is manipulated or harnessed through movement, through meditation. In Hindu and Chinese philosophies, in Hindu, the traditions introduced the concept of prana, the life force permeating the universe. And around concurrently, the Chinese philosophies delved into the balance of the yin and yang, these opposites that are in balance, emphasizing a flow of qi through meridians. Now that's very important in SAF work, the flow of energy through tracks, then how to tap these, how to read them. Even to this day, as in SAF, the ancient practices in Hindu and the Chinese philosophies influence us now. So that's very important. We're still influenced by the discoveries that were made by those that came before us. The Mesopotamian civilizations added a perspective, viewing life energy through the lens of divine intervention. So a lot of the god worship could be said to come from the Mesopotamian, Sumerian, Babylonian time frame. And then the gods were believed to influence the health and the interconnectedness of spiritual and physical realms, and they were in touch. So it was kind of a connecting point. This may have also come from or lent from the Indus Valley as well. Although they are contemporary, this could be even older than that. It's really hard to tell because the written knowledge only goes back to Sumer and Acadia and Babylon. And we have very little beyond that as far as a script. And pictographs also show us a lot of sun emblems and images and worship of the sun being the giver, the greatest life force in our region, the giver of life. But what we find is that life energy was not only studied, but it was worshipped, it was harnessed, it was utilized long ago in the ancient times. And even into the classic ages, life energy was an understood principle that people harnessed and used, possibly, very possibly, in a much more integral way than we do now, because they were more in touch, perhaps, because they weren't as distracted, most likely. It seems that the more we've developed, the more distracted we've become. In the Middle Ages into the scientific revolution time frame, we see the alchemy and chemistry developments, and then into the electromagnetic spectrum. As alchemy evolved into chemistry, we lost a great section of spiritualism that was involved in understanding how life energy worked. There's I would call it a devolution towards the physical versus the spiritual as the top line. And that basically shows us that there was a change from life energy as a spiritual practice to life energy, potentially, as a scientific approach. So we see the discovery of the electromagnetic spectrum. This is very important also in SAF, that we understand that our senses are only picking up a small bit of what's actually there. I think that's probably the best thing that we can come up with. So let's say 1% is what we're seeing. It means 99% we're feeling or experiencing in some other way other than the sight. But this electromagnetic spectrum furthered our understanding of the fact that there were things that were unseen that were chartable or mappable. There was a way to track them. Now, of course, with the advent of the scientific revolution, we have the microscope. We remove the spirit from the unseen. We have the development of different electrical processes and more. So into the 1700s and the 1800s, we see a greater development. The electromagnetic spectrum is founded at that point in time. We begin to see the movement really strong against spiritualism and into the scientific approach only. There was a lot of doubt that was being cast on the validity of the Bible as a whole and spiritualism in general. But there was also a movement in the late 1800s towards spiritualism that you could say creeped in or was there the whole time on seances and telekinesis. Now, these maintained as something that was very interesting to many people, presidents and lay people alike. Spiritualism, talking to spirits, that sort of thing was also part of it. Tarot and the development of mystical societies all could be seen as the spiritual alchemists of the old, still working, still evolving, still developing. But what you see in the mainstream and what was happening then was the development of the great science. What you see is what you get, nothing more, nothing less. That became, and I could say still is in a great way, a term or a way of thinking, a concept that really limits the idea that we are finite, we are experiencing something that is physical, is very quick to move. What happens if someone slaps you at high frequency? It hurts. So we have the development of the electrical impulse. We get all of our electrics. We really get to develop all of our systems and understandings of these unseen forces. And then we see something like electricity, and that is a seen force in a sense, coursing through, and it has a direct response, direct outcome if you get hit with electricity. Very, very clear and very physical, right? So we hit the 1900 to 1977 time period. And it looks like I'm saying 1977 in here because this is what I consider to be the beginning of the New Age, quote unquote. But in the 1900s, we see the development of physics. Einstein, EMC squared. We utilize that in SAF as well. Energy equals mass concept squared. And physics plays and has played a pivotal role in unraveling the mysteries of energies. Albert Einstein's groundbreaking equation demonstrated the equivalence of energy and matter, a cornerstone in comprehending the dynamic nature of life force. Now, when I say the New Age in 1977, I'm tracking that into my perspective of the heralding from the astrological spheres, the discovery of Chiron, the bridge between the seen and the unseen planets, seemed to show or represent a time period of great holistic change and healing. This is also around the time that SAF was developed. 1975 was more specific, but it wasn't copywritten until 1980. It had begun in 1978, and from 1978 to 1983, my dad worked with the SAF program to try to mainstream holistic science and holistic approach by inviting and training clinicians, symptomatologists, and chiropractors, doctors, the medical field in general, and got very well rejected by a lot and made some enemies. But many clinics in the early 80s had the SAF system in use. Now, the infrared came about in 1982 and really got pushed out in 1983. Infrared was the means utilizing meridians and most likely points of acupuncture, acupressure on the body to track the life energy, the coursing and changes of life energy, to be able to read mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, psychic energies that were going on in the body. This can translate into trauma, and it can translate into power and talent and deficit, sickness. It can translate into many things depending on how it's interpreted. And we have over 150 interpretations. We have 30 online, which I'll present that later. 1984 to 1989 be seen as the culmination and development of the ultimate portion of SAF, and the writing of several major books. Most importantly, The Secret of SAF came about as kind of the spiritual alchemist's book to overcome challenges. And that's me being very choosy with my words. It would have been used, the challenge would have been called a dragon. The dragon is this representation of an unstoppable, automatic life force within a person that is ensnared and stealing energy. It's an energy matrix that's part of you, but is kind of holding control over your energy. And the secret of SAF and the processes of the level 3 work in SAF works to really find those dragons, capture them, dispel the charge, and move forward with more energy in the future, in your current day. But this is a time period that would be the up and the down. So in 1989, Joe died, my dad died, and the work was basically changed. He had a program of many computer systems and infrared reading devices that were sold all over to many clinics that ultimately stopped being used or produced in 1989. But the books survived and the system survived. 1990 to 2003, as I said in the introduction, was when my mom took the reins. And from 1990 to 1999, she mostly focused on history. You could say even into the 2000s she did as well, but she wrote, I want to say, 6 books on history within that time period. And in 1999, she put it out there that she had the SAF system still going and was looking to reproduce the books. The main books, the Prometheon, which was the Spiritual Alchemist's guidebook, The Secret of SAF, and a book that she produced out of that, what she called initially the Dummy's Guide to SAF, or SAF Simplified, is what was basically like level 1 through 6, the early stuff, all wrapped into one book. So it's a really good book on how to read SAF, how to understand the concepts of SAF. She put this out again in 2003. It was written more in his writing and was adapted from his work. She put her touch on it. She made it really readable, really accessible. And of course, that's the goal, is to disseminate the information. Let's get more people doing SAF. Let's get more people learning about themselves and empowering themselves, bringing their power back to the present where it's trapped in the past. And that is the SAF goal. So she did these masterworks, which we still have these copies of the SAF Simplified to this, currently at least. The Prometheon Reproduced and Secret of SAF. In 2004 to 2019, my mom, Kathy, also put out multiple other books, many of them reformatted, rewritten, again, with the idea that everybody was going to be using this, not just clinicians. Homeopathy Revisited, which was originally Homeopathy 1980. A lot of the work is wed with the practice of homeopathy. Homeopathy is seen as an energy medicine, and it is a remover or an adder of space when somebody has too much pressure. And we will be having some seminars specifically on the application of homeopathy and other supplements and whatnot, other means to add or subtract from a person to create equilibrium or balance, a rest point. And we'll be going over that. That is the stuff that he was teaching, and I'm still trying to compile a really good seminar out of that, but I don't want to do it an injustice due to my lack of knowledge. But he could rattle this stuff off with no problem, and I may just put out some of what some of his tapes. Better to hear it from the guy, as he would say, direct, the source. So, but anyway, 2004 to 2019, my mom brought about many of the books, Project Isis, which is human electricity, a compendium on homeopathy, and many other books that we have in our catalog ready to go. 2019 to the present day, I took over control in 2019, 2020, and to this current time, am working to develop the system for everybody, just as we have been looking forward to doing. But I'm also really interested in bringing about some of the old stuff that kind of got lost in the... there's so much information in SAF and Life Energy publications that I'm really interested in putting some out. The Secrets of Time Travel was one book that I believe was not finished, but I do have the tapes for it, and so maybe I'll be putting that out coming up. The Secrets of Time Travel is a really interesting... it's a really interesting study, and it's definitely advanced stuff, and it's mentioned throughout that it's in high regard, heavily using the infrared system. Now, I also have ideas to develop the infrared so that it's a little less cumbersome. A single scan versus many different point shots is my hope, but I'm sure the tech is there. It's just a matter of making it approachable, affordable for everybody, because that's the goal. I'd like a system that for the infrared you can do for yourself without the cumbersome looking in the mirror and all of that, or having somebody else there. But what we're doing now is we're redeveloping this approach and the training and trying to put it out on the internet for you. Some of the postulates and theories of SAF, one of the biggest ones, early 1980s, is that everything is alive. Everything is energy. Everything's moving. There's life energy in everything. And the research is to show that and to prove that. And I believe it has been shown and proven within the research. Though the research does continue, that groundbreaking, mind-blowing idea is that all atoms are spinning, and that means that they are all conscious, that there's energy everywhere. And that would be one of the major theories. Another one is the adjustment of the concept squared. The idea that dualism is the yin and yang is part of our energy matrix. That energy equals mass and concept in a duplicity. So you have these ideas of on-off, or pressure and space. That being another one of the working postulates and theories, is this equilibrium is found in this delicate balance between pressure and space. Now, one is trying to become the other, and one is missing, so it's pulling from the other side and drawing, and it's a tug of war, and we're looking for this balance. Now, for practical applications, we have our method, which is the SAF method, the self-awareness formulas, a simple questionnaire that anyone can do at any point in time, though it is advised to have an issue, something that you want to have an answer for. An issue usually is a problem. So we call it a major upset or a major complaint. And you can do the questionnaire, right now, and I'll have it in the back end of this as far as the process for that, and then that will produce a chain of numbers, and the chain of numbers is what you're looking to work through from past to present, and you work your major complaint out of it, and you look to resolve the core of the chain, the core issue. 9 times out of 10, your major complaint isn't the core, isn't the source. You're coming in with a headache, but it's really relating to something that happened to your heart or your kidneys or something like that. And but you think it's this headache right now, but it's really this trauma, this issue that happened in the past. And that chain will guide you and direct you in the way to release that energy. And so lightening the load of that dragon or that energy matrix that's locked to your energy. Pretty simple. We also have the infrared, and the infrared is a method that was developed. We like to call it the holistic tricorder, if you remember from Star Trek, where he gets to scan a person and find out all about him. I believe in the future, that's exactly what this will be. This will be a method for holism, a tricorder to read a person's spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical state through a simple scan. Now, obviously, there's development for that. I believe that SAF is the key, but we'll see. We'll see what we can develop in the future, right? The infrared allows for an objective reading. That's very important because it takes and removes what the person thinks they know and shows what is actually going on. But it also sorts out, just like all the chains, the known from the unknown and the important from the unimportant. See, there's always a dichotomy, always a balance between two forces there. The idea is that in discovering more about ourselves, that we gain more energy in our future or our current, and we're able to free ourselves from the burden of fears and things that hold us back so that we can become more like our desired hero. We're on a hero's path, and we want to find that hero in ourselves. And that's the idea, is that the hero potentially is a lot more in touch with the things going on in their lives, and they know themselves more than anybody else. They know themselves more than their subconscious at some point. But lofty goals there. The practical applications are, of course, in clinical use for herbalists, for homeopathy practitioners, acupuncture, as well as chiropractors and doctors. But the list does go on. There's a lot of ways that you can approach this. I have been getting some emails about some of the quantum physics applications for this work that my dad put out, and that's very interesting. There could be more things going on than we know that were written about in the 80s that tie in and could possibly develop major discoveries in the future. So we'll have to wait and see what future practical applications we can find. But currently we can utilize the system through the self-awareness formulas, through the subjective questionnaires, the physical SAF 120, the stress 120, which will work for mental and emotional, and the Q24, which is a overview, less focused. Quick, but less focused. Probably for that reason, right? And then, of course, the infrared, which is only available through the access to the saftest.com site. And a little bit more on that. If you are inclined to utilize SAF in your clinic or your practice, then you need training on the infrared. We are here for you. We're going to be offering direct webinars and one-on-one training for the SAF infrared. It's available right now if you'd like with the one-on-one, but the webinar is coming soon, so please stay tuned. Now, all of the information that we put out, we have on Life Energy Publications, and our site for the questionnaires is saftest.com. If you go to saftest.com, you're going to the sign in for the practitioner. So you'd go to saftest.com/questionnaires, and you can find the link on Life Energy Publications. Now, I have a couple of promo videos, introductions to the website as it was newly put out, and also running a chain that I'm going to put here at the end for you to check out. The Life Energy Publications page, we've also we put in some merchandise like hats and t-shirts and whatnot to show your support, as well as show your interest to the public that you're into life energy and you're into learning more about the self. The website is full of great information, and it is a work in progress, so please send some feedback on that. We'd love to hear what you have to say as followers of the life energy movement and the life energy community. We also have our our social media, the Facebook group, the Alchemist's Insight. You're free to join that. We would love to have you. And just share some life energy stories. Share how you're using life energy in your practice or your work. I think initially I thought that would be a practitioner site, but it needs to be open more to kind of everybody. Now, if you go to saftest.com and you sign up, you can do the sign up through the Life Energy Publications. When you sign up, you'll see a real simple menu option here, and this is really the nuts and bolts of the online SAF online experience, where you can manage your SAF, which is editing your clients, adding a client, editing the infrared data or adding infrared data. You can also view all the chains or add a chain, and adding a chain would be something that you did in person, or somebody sent you a chain via email. You don't have their original chain. The methods for that, I do have videos, instructions, and tutorials on how to run and use the saftest.com site for practitioners. Just to let you know like how involved all this is. You would set up a client first, then invite them to do the chain through the saftest.com/questionnaires page. And if you're a clinician with the infrared, you would do the infrared in person, get your heat numbers. You would then add the client, add the IR data to the client, and then the chain is there and the report. The whole thing is there's a report with, I believe it's up to 30 interpretations depending on your particular practice. If you don't do herbs, you wouldn't pay attention to the herbs. But there's culinary and nutrition and Chinese herbals and acupressure, acupuncture, Bach flower, etc. Well, here's our introduction to the website. Hi all, and welcome to Life Energy Publications. This is our website tour, so we can show you the various different options available to you on our new website. We now have a very full About Us section. We encourage you to read about our founder, our mission, testimonials, and about becoming a member, which we hope you do. We also have our SAF online portal for practitioners and everyone else, loaded full of resources. If you need help with an SAF chain, this is where you'd go. We also have our classes, courses, and events, and our training. Our training is now at modernholisticalchemy.com. We have free tutorials there on how to use SAF online. In our shop, we have our Life Energy books. All available books, as well as our infrared scanner, are available on this page. And in Life Energy apparel, this is where you can find gear relating to Life Energy, SAF, also our Institute. This section will be filling out in the coming weeks, so please check back. The Life Energy Monitor is our newsletter, and it is also where we post our bulletins. And that concludes our tour of the new website. Thanks for joining us. We have a new course, Introduction to Life Energy, our SAFENT course. This is our primer for the Level 1 training and gives the history and application of the self-awareness formulas. Make a positive impact on your community with SAF. This course is available at modernholisticalchemy.com. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on creating an SAF chain. We'll go to lifeenergypublications.com and tap the menu. We encourage you to look through the About Us section so you can learn more about who we are and what we do, and also about becoming a member. Today we're going to go to the SAF online portal. On this page you can find out more about SAF online and more of the options available to you. Today we're going to create a chain, so we're going to go to questionnaires. Here we have three options: Stress 120, SAF 120, and Q24.
We're going to be doing a Q24 today. It's an abbreviated chain. We'll enter our major complaint, and then we'll go through the different groups, answering the questions to the best of our ability. As a side note, you can click 0 for no and 5 for yes. On the 24th group, we're going to hit submit, and we're going to get our chain at the top with a stress number. You'll put your name and your email and hit submit, and you'll get sent the chain. If you're working with a practitioner, use the email that they have for you on their account, and they'll get your chain as well. If you have any questions or need any more support, feel free to reach out to us.
And like it said there, any support needed, that's really what we offer is support through your journey to the self. You're going to be doing that for yourself, and you may be doing that for others. We want to help you, and there's a lot to this, so we want to really make sure that you have the support that you need. Now, further studies. We are going to be doing a couple different branches, and I will probably be instituting this new change in the levels. We currently do the introduction course as a 0.1 to 0.9 approach, and then SAF practitioner is level 1. We'll probably be doing for the clinical side, we're going to be doing a personal use, which will only go up to level 2, but the clinical side, we're looking at doing up to level 5, depending on the amount of cases run. And it's not that big of a challenge to run 8 cases, 8 chains. One client can easily do 4 or 5 chains before certain issues are resolved. Every time you run a chain, every day that you work with a client and run a chain, you should be resolving and diminishing or taking out that core. You don't want them walking away with an open case. You want to close that case each day. Then you run another chain to see where that person is and how those numbers have moved in the chain. So that would be more of a clinical progression. But we're going to be doing more CE-oriented work, where continuing education and more seminars for the practitioners. I also want to do a lot of business building and promotion. So in conclusion, as we conclude this journey through time with Life Energy, we stand in the present time. We are fully enriched by centuries and millennia of exploration into life energy. The synergy of ancient philosophies, scientific advancements, and holistic practices continues to shape our understanding and applications of this vital and intricate force, life energy. So thank you for joining us on this enlightening expedition through the history and knowledge of life energy. There is a lot to go over, and I do my best to kind of keep it as concise as possible. But I am very open to your feedback, and I'd love to hear if there was something else you wanted me to talk about or add in or delve more into. I'll be doing these once a month, so I'm really looking forward to fine-tuning exactly what's being spoken about. May your exploration of this fascinating realm be both insightful and transformative. So until next time, thank you again, and be well. Thank you.